are here to review today's Sorcerer City. This one I've been wanting to get to the table for a little while. I'll let you say who it's by and all of that. So wait, before we do that,
yes,
hit the subscribe button. Make sure you follow along as we go through our massive collection of games and get through all 3,000 of them. We're going to get a review for each one.
Subscribe, notification bell, comments. We welcome all of it.
Yep. Love to have you along for the ride.
So, Sorcerer City came out in 2020, so it's still a relatively new game. The BGG rating is 7.6, so a pretty good score on that. The designer is Scott Caputo, which you may have heard. He's made some of our more recent favorite games that we like a lot, Whistle Mountain. Art is by David Kegg, and I can't pronounce the last name, but I think it's Memoliti. I apologize if I mispronounce that. It is published by Sorcerer City Games. MSRP $60. A little pricey,
but you get a lot in there.
You do get a lot.
If this is a game of tile placement, you get a starting deck of.
I think everybody's starting deck is the same.
Okay, and they have icons on them that are crests that give you different scoring types. There's 3 different types, I believe. There's one that is a straight line, and you have to have at least 3 tiles, but it will count 1 point for each tile in a straight line, either horizontal or vertical. There's one that will give you a point for everything in a region that is the same color. So
as long as it's connected.
As long as it's connected. And then the third one is, they call it a shield crest, which is basically it counts itself and everything in the surrounding 8 tiles.
Including diagonal,
including
so
diagonals.
They say neighboring, not adjacent.
Yeah. So anything that has another crest on it. It doesn't matter what type of crest, it will count it again. So if you have multiple shield crests and they're all touching, you're going to keep counting each one, and it's going to kind of daisy chain for you. So the goal is to place them in such a way that you can get them within the same color area for the 2 that depend on that, or the near other crest for the other one.
But the caveat, it's timed.
Yes, it's all timed. There's a lot of pressure to get these things down. So let's talk about the quality of the components. So the cardboard tiles were a bit thin.
Yeah, a bit thin. Yeah, I think that it'd have been nice if they were a little bit thicker. Because I'd just be afraid. I think you already said that you noticed a little bit of the middle of some of the tiles are getting a little bit soft already.
Yeah, from shuffling them.
From shuffling. Because you do shuffle them a lot.
That's the big problem. You can't sleeve tiles. So you're going to be shuffling the tiles a lot during the course of the game, not to mention panicking and moving things around. And they're going to wear from that, and they're going to wear unevenly from that, because your starters are going to wear faster than your tiles that are purchased, which is, that's always a problem. The actual components other than that are pretty nice.
Yeah,
the timers worked really well.
Yeah,
unlike what we saw with Pendulum.
Right.
This timer we had no problems with.
No sticking whatsoever.
Other than having to stop and start it several times.
But you could just set it off to the side. And...
Yeah. The coin, if you will, in this game, I forget what it was called. Was it Prestige?
Yes, the victory points.
We didn't end up using them. I just don't like cardboard as far as points, so we use our victory point chips.
Right.
I pulled those out. But
it's same quality of cardboard for the Prestige.
Yeah.
I think the claim to that we really like the insert, except for one part of it.
Yeah, so the insert was really well done. I really give kudos to Scott Caputo for the design of that, where you put the tiles in such a way and with the plastic around it that everything is held in place.
And it's organized really well. So set up and take down wasn't too bad.
So the only real problem with the box insert is it stores everything really well, puts everything into its place and keeps it there. The problem is when you try to put the top on, all the cardboard is basically pushed out from this.
It's not contained. The sides of the cardboard aren't contained. So the lid or the thing that goes over the top of that part can hit the cardboard.
And
it knocks it out.
It
makes it
jostles everything about, and you have to kind of reach your fingers in and try to push them all back in place. And while you're doing that, they're getting off on the other side. So it's kind of a chore just to get that lid back on.
But, and that I never did that myself, but it did look like a pain in the butt. But really, other than that, the insert's really cool.
Yeah, it's one of the better storage mechanisms I've seen in a game. So I'm pretty impressed with that. The player boards folded nice and smooth and laid on the ground. There was no issues with any kind of bowing. Everything about the cards had a really nice texture to them. As far as all the components, I'm going to give this one, I think, an 8.
And I agree with that. I think that the few cons that we had, not a huge deal. I would be a little worried about how long the game will last because of cardboard quality. But other than that, I think 8's a good score.
Yeah. As far as theme, I mean, I love the sorcerer theme, and you're building this city and then rebuilding it. I'm assuming you're using magic to reshift everything into different places. That's how at least that's how it works in my brain.
Right. The thing that kind of reminded me of like inside of Hogwarts, where the staircase is how they move around. That's what I kind of think of.
Yeah, I mean, there's no pattern. It's just a color.
Right.
There's no
It's very abstract. So, I mean, the art, there really isn't a whole lot. Then the cards look really nice, but the art itself is just color based.
Yeah.
But even though we are hard on games about artwork, this didn't need it. So as a matter of fact, I enjoyed it. I liked it that way.
I like the simplicity. I do think that there could be an issue with color blindness, and
that's true because you didn't see a whole lot of symbology.
Yeah. But I do like the colors that were chosen. Those are my favorite shades of those red, blue, green, and yellow. If you're going to use red, blue, green, and yellow, I don't like just the basic standard. I like to have it kind of a subdued blue and green, red, and yellow, and I really like the color choice. As far as the cards, the art on the monsters, I thought was fine. It wasn't great, but it was fine. And overall.
And then your character cards.
So your character cards had some nice art. I like that, and it kind of it was a subtle nod to having player colors. There wasn't a whole lot. It wasn't like there were player colors per se.
But each player had a different
but
the
magic aura was kind of a little different. So you had kind of a purplish, you had kind of an orangish, greenish, tealish. Bluish. Yeah. So I liked how he did that with the subtle coloring. So I thought it was neat. As far as theme, I mean, apart from the art being what it is, I'm going to give it a 7 because it's not very heavy anywhere really in the theme. It does incorporate it into gameplay pretty well.
Yeah, that's why I went a little bit higher. I think it's 7.5 just because of the feeling it gave me. I like the feeling of the theme of it, so just a little bit higher for me.
Yeah. All right. As far as the rule book, this is where it struggles a bit. The rule book, the first time we played wrong. It wasn't specified in as you're going through the rules that you're supposed to reset your stats boards each round after you've
we'll talk about that
scoring,
in gameplay,
which we'll get to in the gameplay, and that's a significant point.
It's a huge point,
but it was not in the book. Where it was if you played using the player cheat sheet on the back of the book in the cleanup phase, which is where you would expect it to be. There was a comment that said reset all your boards, but in the actual section for the cleanup, there was no mention of it at all.
And it did come up in gameplay. The first time I played it, so some things just didn't make sense.
Yeah.
And so we were like, do these reset? Do they not reset? It just feels like they should. And sure enough, they do.
And there were several little issues like that. That was the biggest.
Right.
But there was a card that mentioned covering up the icons on with certain tokens. There are no tokens.
Right.
So there was nothing referencing that. And then if you look in the rule book, it doesn't even mention the tokens. It tells you just to ignore those icons, basically. So it was like they looked like maybe changed their decision as far as when they were publishing it and designing it, or forgot to change the card or something. But yeah, it's just some weird things like that happened throughout the rules. And then there was, I guess it's more of a gameplay thing, but the end game there's some issues I think with the way it ends.
But as far as the rules, it didn't really apply there. But it just.
There were
the thing about the tracks was such a big deal. We played our second game, hands down, totally different.
Yeah. So I can't give that any more than a 6. I mean, other than that, the rule book was nicely written. It was good size font.
Very colorful.
It had a lot of good pictures. It was well designed, apart from it just left out some of the rules. I mean,
and a very important one, because really the rest of the stuff is minor.
Yeah,
but with that one being such a big deal, I couldn't go above a 6 even.
Yeah. So moving on to gameplay. So I honestly think this is where the game shines.
For sure.
It was a lot of fun. so as we mentioned earlier, this is a tile placement game, and it's a deck building game, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
There's a market that has 5 stores, if you will, that you can go to, and they get higher in cost as you go across, except for the 5th one, which is wild tiles, and they'll connect to anything. And then you have a influence track that shows like each round, like however the prize that you get for being first, second, third, fourth, or fifth, first, second, or third,
right?
In the influence.
So you got victory points, you got a scroll or an influence reward, and if you come in first, you get to do both.
Mm-hmm.
If you come in second, you get to choose. Third, if it's a 3-player game, gets a choice of 5 coin or a second buy. But if it's a 4th-player game, you get to pick the opposite of what the 3rd player picked. I mean, the 2nd player picked.
Yeah.
So if they chose a scroll, you get the victory points, or vice versa.
Yeah. So that was cool, and the tracks will lend you towards each one of those goals. Yeah. So there's 4 tracks in the game. They're color coded: blue, green, red, and yellow. Blue is magic, and that one is basically kind of like you get the magic up front, and then you allocate it by using a card to red, yellow, or green, and you can then dump all of the points from your blue into one category, which might let you win a category and
get more influence,
or victory points.
Right.
So that's the first thing that's evaluated. The second one is the influence, and the influence, it's going to determine turn order for purchasing,
mm-hmm.
and it's also going to give whoever gets the rewards for the influence bonus,
which is a big deal.
Yeah, so that will give you victory points too. So it's it's almost like red is overpowered.
For sure, especially earlier in the game.
Yeah, and then then once you've determined the bonus for that, then it's purchasing using the yellow, and the yellow is your money. You can only purchase 1 tile per round unless you reach 20 money, at which point you can build to buy 2, or if you have some kind of a bonus.
You might have cards or tiles that say you can buy more.
So you then purchase your tiles based on the turn order of the influence,
and they go in your discard deck.
And they go to your discard pile. Then after that, you get your victory points based upon your green track, and then all of those tracks are going to reset at the end.
Which was the part that when you get that first time.
Yeah, so
they thought it just built and stayed there, built some more and stayed there.
So it caused some confusion, and also the influence token or influence track, the bonus you get for victory points goes to that green track too.
Right.
And that's important because those tracks cap at 60.
Mm-hmm.
So if you get more than 60, it's just lost. You don't get anything additional. So you want to make sure that you stay under that 60 cap, or certainly
you don't want to get like 80 or 90 or something because you wasted all your blue magic into the victory points or the prestige, and it was wasted.
Yep. So after that, you finish the round. When you reset your tiles, you destroy your city that you built and put it back into your deck, shuffle it all up, and you're going to rebuild it again next round. But
there's a new caveat that
this is
round
my
1.
Favorite part of the game.
So starting round 2.
Yeah, each round there's a set of monster tiles, and everybody gets one. So there's 2 level 1s for first 2 rounds, 1 and 2, and 2 level 2s, which are for rounds 3 and 4, that you're going to get added to your tile deck. And everybody it's a random draw of the monsters, but they can be nasty.
And there's quite a few. So I was pretty impressed that there was like 8, maybe 10.
I think there's at least 10.
So, but for each tier, there's tier 1, tier 2. So we played it 2 different times when we had totally different monsters each time. Yeah. And I really liked the monsters the second time we played.
Yeah.
I thought those were really cool because they added a lot of attention to me as a player. I didn't have to really worry about other people, which that's some of the monsters do that, where you can affect other people, but they really could screw you over.
Yeah. And the monsters, whenever you get them, they get shuffled into your deck, and you just flip them each tile one at a time, and you're playing it into your city, and it's all time.
Yeah.
So while you're playing, you're like, well, this one's got to connect over here for points. But then when those monsters come
then the goblin pops up. Oh, crap. I have to destroy 2 yellow tiles or discard 2 yellow tiles.
Yeah.
Oh, now my stuff's disconnected.
Yeah, right. It's disconnected. Or if you, heaven forbid, you actually played 2 yellow bonus tiles at the beginning. And that's the last only 2 tiles you have that have yellow on it. Well, they're gone.
Yep. No yellow.
Or they can actually help you because there could be a monster that had a yellow on it. And, well, it lets you discard monsters too.
Randy lucked out. He got to play a demon that allowed him to get rid of the 2 monsters that he played previously, and it helped you out a lot.
No, I actually had 2. I had 2 kills.
That's right.
Yeah,
and he was able to get rid of these monsters. Where
yeah.
I was like, oh,
yeah,
and
so
it was hurting me.
That was another thing is the marketplace has tiles that can actually kill the monsters, which is really cool. So,
or you can add monsters to other people.
Yeah, you can hand them off and say, "Here you go." But those aren't with the tiles; those were from the card.
But still, I mean, it's just that fact that you're trying to get rid of them, and someone's giving them back to you. And Miranda was not real happy that time. So
yeah. Oh yeah, Scott Capito. Just to let you know, Miranda was not pleased.
Yeah, she
said she loved this game, but she also had a bone to pick with you because she was getting very frustrated because of the timer and the monsters. But she loved it. She loved it. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. What was really funny was the first time we're playing, we're like, oh, this is a generous timer. Yeah, I actually said that.
Yeah, first round.
Like first round is like we got all our tiles down.
Half the timer's still going.
We're like, oh, it's an easy timer.
Yeah,
and then the second round, we got those monsters and the tiles that we had acquired. And trying to get through your whole tile deck now became a challenge.
And then starting like round 3, year 3, there was no way I could play all my tiles.
Yeah, it was just crazy. It was like
it went so fast.
And I'm like, and I'm just scrambling, and tiles are flying.
Right.
I mean, it gets to be pretty stressful, but it's still fun. It
was a ton of fun.
So, as far as the enjoyment of this game, I can't give it less than an 8.5. I mean, I
completely agree. I think 8.5 is a great score. It's a solid, fun game. But if you don't like hectic, chaotic, almost physical nature to the game, it may not be for you. But if you can just get past that, the timing part of it, I think you'll love it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just wish it didn't have those holes. And one of the big holes we talked about earlier, but we're going to discuss now in more detail, is the end game.
Yeah, year 5.
Year 5 kind of is a downer. I hate to see a really good game just come to a kind of an abrupt end. Mm-hmm. And what happened is in round 5, well, they kind of ran out of ideas of what to do with the money, it felt like. It was like, you've got money, but the tiles have no victory points.
What's the point of buying a tile?
There's no value in the victory point or in the tiles, and that's one of the things I think there should have been. I think the tiles needed to have victory points.
Either that or something for that year where the money tiles or the amount of money you got did more than just act as a tiebreaker.
Yeah, it was kind of a, we had one with Magla Metro recently we played. Where it was, we loved the game until the ending, and it kind of stalled. This one had the same problem. It was really good and really fun up until that last round, and it was like, okay, now what?
I have all this stuff, and I have nothing to do with it.
Yeah, it's like you got, it's all about getting the red bonus for the 25 points,
and then that's it, because for that year, second, third, fourth, didn't get anything.
No, and then the green points for victory points, and that's
all. But once it's maxed out at 60, that's it.
Yeah. So yeah, it felt like a downer ending to the game. So I hope that if they, this is fairly new, right?
Yeah, like I said, 2020. So
yeah, so I'm hoping there's some expansions that come out that might address the end game of this, because that's really the only fault, or I would have probably given this a 9 or a 10, even.
Right.
Because I really enjoyed the gameplay up until that point. So. That's our assessment of Sorcerer City.
But overall, it's a great game.
Yeah, it's still a great game.
Yeah, and we think you'll like it too. It's a lot of fun. It's pretty. It's abstract-y, which I love abstract games. So it's just got a lot of neat stuff to it.
Yeah, and I love it is kind of a little chore to get the tiles separated back out, but they all have their own spot in the box, so everything puts away nicely. It's really arranged well, apart from the little snafu about putting the lid on.
Right.
But, I mean, all in all, it's a nice package.
I agree.
So, all right. Well, that's our review of Sorcerer City. Hopefully you'll join us for the future. Again, hit that subscribe button. We've got plenty more to go through.
Yep. Let us know what you think.
Yeah. Let us know your thoughts on it. We'd love to hear.
All right. Have a good night.